Snowflakes drifted softly under the golden glow of the streetlights as people hurried past, their arms full of last-minute gifts and grocery bags. The air was filled with laughter, Christmas songs, and the smell of roasted chestnuts. But little Emma wasn't looking at the lights, she was staring at the woman by the corner bakery. The woman's hands were red from the cold, her coat too thin for the winter chill. In front of her sat a basket of homemade bread, wrapped carefully in brown paper. "Daddy," Emma tugged at her father's sleeve, "why is that auntie selling bread on Christmas Eve?" Her father, Daniel, paused. He was a single dad, still learning how to answer questions that broke your heart. "Maybe, she needs the money to buy something special," he said softly. Emma frowned, her mittened hands clutching the candy cane she'd just gotten. "But Christmas is about giving, right?" Daniel smiled faintly. "Yes, sweetheart. It is." Emma turned toward the woman again. Something in her eyes, loneliness, maybe, made her chest ache. Without another word, she let go of her father's hand and ran toward the bread stand. Daniel called after her, but stopped when he saw what she was doing. Emma placed her candy cane on the woman's counter and whispered, "Merry Christmas, Auntie." The woman blinked, tears welling up. Daniel felt a lump in his throat. He didn't know it yet, but that one small act was about to change their Christmas forever. The woman smiled faintly as she handed Emma a small loaf of warm bread. "Thank you, sweetheart," she said, her voice soft but trembling. "You're my first customer tonight." Daniel walked over, his boots crunching on the snow. "I'm sorry about her running off," he said awkwardly, taking out his wallet. "How much for the bread?" The woman shook her head. "It's okay. Your daughter already paid, with kindness." Daniel hesitated. There was something about her, not just her tired eyes, but a quiet dignity behind them. "You shouldn't be out here this late," he said gently. "It's freezing." She nodded, glancing at the dim bakery lights behind her. "The bakery closed last month. I used to work there, but now I bake from home. Bread is all I have left to sell." Emma held the loaf close to her chest. "It smells so good. Daddy, can we buy more? Maybe we can help her sell them." The woman looked startled. "Oh, no, I couldn't." But Daniel was already kneeling beside Emma. "You know what, sweetheart? That sounds like a great Christmas Eve project." Within minutes, the two of them stood beside the woman, calling out cheerfully to passing shoppers. Daniel's deep voice drew attention, and Emma's bright smile did the rest. People began stopping, buying bread, leaving warm wishes. For the first time that night, the woman's basket started to empty. She wiped her eyes. "You don't even know me. Why would you do this?" Daniel smiled softly. "Because someone once did the same for me when I needed help most." The woman looked at him, curious. "And what happened then?" Daniel glanced down at Emma, his voice low. "That's how I learned what Christmas really means." As the night grew colder, the last loaf of bread was sold. The woman's hands trembled as she counted the money. It wasn't much, but the gratitude in her eyes said it meant the world. "Thank you," she whispered. "You've both given me a Christmas miracle." Daniel smiled faintly, brushing the snow off his coat. "Maybe it's time I tell you why we stopped," he said. Emma, always curious, leaned closer. "Is it a story, Daddy?" Daniel nodded. "Yeah, sweetheart. It's about another Christmas Eve, a long time ago." He looked at the woman, then down the street where festive lights flickered. "A few years back, I lost everything. My wife passed away right before Christmas. I didn't even have money to buy food for Emma, let alone gifts." The woman's eyes softened. "I'm so sorry." Daniel continued, his voice steady but low. "That night, an old baker saw us sitting outside his shop. He gave Emma a loaf of bread, just like this one, and told me, 'Feed her first, then feed your heart.' I never saw him again, but that kindness, it stayed with me. For a moment, silence hung between them, broken only by the distant sound of church bells. Emma hugged her father's arm. So now we helped someone else, just like he helped us. Daniel nodded. Exactly. The woman wiped her tears. Your wife would be proud. Daniel's smile faltered for a second. Maybe she's the reason we stopped here tonight. The woman looked down, whispering, maybe she sent you to me. The wind carried their laughter, gentle and warm, through the cold night. For the first time in years, Daniel felt peace, the kind that only comes when broken hearts recognize each other. The streets had emptied now, and the faint hum of Christmas carols echoed from the nearby church. The woman carefully packed her empty basket, her fingers trembling as she tied the cloth around it. Daniel noticed the way she winced when the cold hit her hands. Let us give you a ride home, he offered. It's late, and this wind is getting worse. She hesitated, then nodded. Only if you'll stay for tea. It's the least I can offer. A few minutes later, they pulled up outside a tiny apartment at the edge of town. The place was old, but inside it smelled of freshly baked bread and cinnamon. Emma's eyes widened in delight. It smells like Christmas in here. The woman smiled softly. That's all I have to give. As they sat by the small heater, Daniel finally asked, what made you start selling bread like this? The woman took a deep breath. I used to own a little bakery with my husband, she said, her voice breaking. We dreamed of growing it together. But 2 years ago, he passed away suddenly. The bills piled up, and I lost everything. Baking was all I knew, so I just kept going. Emma reached across the table, touching her hand. You didn't give up. That's brave. The woman's eyes shimmered. Some days I wanted to. But something always told me, someone, don't stop. Daniel leaned forward. Maybe that someone was your husband. She nodded slowly. And maybe tonight, he sent you 3 to remind me that kindness still exists. Daniel smiled. Maybe we were all sent to remind each other. Outside, snow began to fall again, soft, endless, and pure. Inside, 3 souls shared warmth that no winter could ever freeze. The little apartment glowed softly under the warm light of a single lamp. Emma sat near the small window, humming a carol as she shaped bits of dough into tiny stars. The woman, whose name they now knew was Clara, watched her with quiet affection. You have a gift, Clara said gently. Most children just want toys, but she gives love like it's air. Daniel smiled, eyes fixed on his daughter. She reminds me of her mom. Always giving, always seeing the best in everyone. For a moment, the 3 sat in silence, letting the quiet warmth of the night settle between them. Then Emma looked up, eyes bright. Daddy, can we invite Aunty Clara tomorrow? She shouldn't be alone on Christmas. Clara's hand flew to her chest. Oh, I couldn't intrude. You wouldn't be intruding, Daniel interrupted softly. You'd be coming home for Christmas. Her eyes filled with tears. No one had said that to her in years. The next morning, Clara arrived at Daniel's modest home carrying a basket of bread still warm from the oven. The smell filled the room as laughter echoed through the small space. They shared stories, sang carols, and for the first time since their losses, both Daniel and Clara felt whole again. When it was time to eat, Emma proudly placed the first loaf in the center of the table. This one's special, she said. It's the one that made us a family. Daniel looked at Clara. Maybe we should start a new bakery, together. A place where no one spends Christmas hungry or alone. Clara smiled through her tears. A bakery of second chances. Outside, church bells rang. Inside, love was kneaded into something new, warm, lasting, and forever sweet.